Now we're learning more about what the concerns were with the case. And apparently the benefit to her was only $800. I mean, I can't think. I did intake for criminal cases. Nobody would even come into the office and try to pitch a case where the benefit was $800. I mean, that's absurd. And apparently they're saying, oh, it's a lie because she said it was a second home and instead it was an investment property, but she didn't make any money off of it. And she was apparently using it as a rental property, but she never collected any rent. She bought the house really for her niece to live in. And so only in Trump world is gifting your niece a home a crime. I mean, it's just like no jury, if this ever got to a trial, no jury is convicting her of this. I mean, she barely squeaked by and got it past the grand jury. But I mean, there is no way there is going to be a conviction in this case.
You know, as Christy, as you are describing all of this, I think people listening at home are like, wait, this sounds crazy. This sounds fantastical. And it is. Because I think we always have to step back and ask ourselves, why is this person being prosecuted? Why were the charges brought in the first place? And if the answer is because the president asked for it, he requested a prosecution and got one, discussing the details of that prosecution, in my estimation, is not the point. The point is that the president asked for prosecution and got one. And for me, you know, Lisa, it's like the message is unmistakable here. You investigate the powerful, you could become the target. And I think Tish James, the Attorney General of New York, understands that. This is what she had to say about the rule of law today outside the courthouse in Norfolk, Virginia.
I will not be deterred. I will not be distracted. I will do my job each and every day, and that's why I'm headed back to New York, because there's work to be done standing up for the rule of law.
You know, once selective prosecution takes hold, it just doesn't stop with the attorney general that attempted to hold the former president accountable when he was a former president, or the FBI director that told him no, or the staffer that told people the truth about him. It could spread to the rest of us. I think that this is just not about one person or one particular case. It's about the system, our justice system, being turned into a tool of retribution for one man's petty grievances.
I think that's exactly right. And what you see with what Donald Trump is doing is the politicization of the Justice Department. And he's been empowered to think that there are no limits on his power by the Supreme Court, by John Roberts. This prosecution of Letitia James is a political, hyper-partisan revenge prosecution, just as she said. And it's coming from a president who thinks that he can fire anyone, install his own former defense counsels as prosecutors to prosecute his enemies, and also just act as if there's no law that binds him. And that's because this Supreme Court, the Roberts Court, has empowered him and enabled him with that immunity decision and more.
I want to talk about your old workplace, Christy Greenberg, SDNY. The U.S. Attorney for SDNY, Jay Clayton, who was appointed back in April by Trump, had this to say on Squawk Box.
What I'm saying is, we have very prestigious lawyers who make lots of money and are very smart people, and they stayed silent during the prosecutions of Donald Trump.
Jay, that's what you're saying. The Justice Department was weaponized in the
but we have the law schools, leaders at the bar, people who know the law. You know, people look to them as leaders, thought leaders. And they stayed silent.
While what was happening?
While the cases against a former president of the United States were proceeding apace.
Okay, so one, what is he saying? What are you hearing from your friends at SDNY? And is that an audition to become the next Attorney General of the United States?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know why else you would make such statements that were so self-serving and so clearly, kissing up to the president. Look, I think Jay Clayton came from Sullivan and Cromwell, which is one of the top law firms in the world. They didn't represent Donald Trump. Where were they? Like, if we're talking about the leaders in the legal community, he was at a firm that those are leaders of the legal community. They turned Trump down, according to all the reporting. So now they are representing him in his appeal in the Manhattan hush money case. But they weren't around before. I'm sure Todd Blanche would have loved their help. And all of these law firms weren't representing Trump. One, because they wanted to get paid and they were worried about being stiffed. But two, I think, the allegations in a number of these cases were incredibly serious. And I don't think it's as frivolous as he's making it seem. And while we're on the topic of his silence, because again, I don't remember ever hearing Jay Clayton going out and saying that there was weaponization of the government against Donald Trump, that this is new. But let's talk about him and his current job and how he has been silent. He has been silent about the order from the Department of Justice to dismiss the case against Eric Adams. Crickets from him. He was silent on his first day when 3 career prosecutors had to resign because Todd Blanche, the number 2 at the Department of Justice, said they had to admit wrongdoing and say that they were wrong not to go ahead and dismiss that case. So rather than do that, they resigned. He was silent about that. And he was silent when Maureen Comey was fired. That's his prosecutor. That is his office. He had nothing to say about that. So you know what? His silence is deafening, and he should focus on doing his own job.
Can we just say that the Justice Department was not weaponized under the Biden administration? There were Democrats and Republicans that faced the wrath of the Biden administration's Justice Department. Like, the reason people were silent is because the president had credibly committed crimes. And it seems incredulous that I have to say that, Lisa. It seems crazy. I feel insane. Calm me down.
I don't think I can calm you down on that. I think you're exactly right. The reality is that this president, Donald Trump, was prosecuted based on substantial evidence of criminality. And the Justice Department was not acting at the behest of Joe Biden, wasn't acting to prosecute him politically, was prosecuting him because...
If they were, they would have prosecuted him a little more quicker. There's my progressive friends feel as though Merrick Garland dragged his feet a little too long.
I'm with you on that. And the fact is that we're in this scenario where these facts are not perceived as facts because, in part, this Supreme Court exonerated Donald Trump, basically pardoned him and pardoned him prospectively. So now you have him recreating history, recreating the facts, and trying to assert in essence that he was politically prosecuted while he himself is engaged in the most political prosecutions we've ever seen in the history of our country.